Oh, that's not going to be enough. Let's go. That poor Infinite. We're going to take a huge dub. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? TM24 here, and we are back with some more Marvel Snap content. Now, this is the deck that I use to hit Infinite this season, so I wanted to share it with y'all. Now, I didn't use this deck for the entire climb, but it did get me from 95, 93, all the way to Infinite, winning me those last few games. It's got a huge element of surprise, so we are going to go through each card, the purpose, why it's in there, and how to win these games. But before we do, if you're a new viewer, I just want to say thank you for clicking on the video. I hope you find it entertaining and instructive, educational, whatever you want to call it. I'm teaching you about a new deck, so hopefully you find some value. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. My llama back here, he appreciates the support, but let's talk about this surprise Valkyrie deck. So, obviously, you can tell by the name of the deck, the goal is to surprise our opponent on turn 6 with Valkyrie, Wasp, Yellow Jacket, and a 1-drop. Now, it all depends on what 1-drop you have. It's either got to be the Demon or Ant-Man to, pretty much guarantee your win. So, the other cards in this deck, Wasp and Yellow Jacket, you're holding, typically you're playing on turn 6 with Valkyrie and your 1-drop. The Hood you're playing early, and if you could play it either in the far right lane or a lane where it's, not going to be armored up, which we have armor here, a lane where it can still be destroyed. Give your opponent something to think about. That's great. But the real key here, of course, is the Demon that you get from the Hood. Ant-Man, just like the Demon, you probably won't play Ant-Man until turn 6. And if you're playing Ant-Man on 6, you got to play him before you play Valkyrie. If you're playing Demon on turn 6, then you got to play Demon after you play Valkyrie. So those are kind of your small stuff, right? The rest of these cards here are your setup, and your goal is to lock down one lane early, and we're going to get to that here. So we've got Daredevil. Daredevil is huge because he lets us see what's going on turn 5, and that can allow us to have a free, clean Professor X, not have to worry about it getting, your opponent playing something bigger there and you missing out. So Daredevil is huge. Now armor is in there because we've got Sentry. So we'd love to, if we're going to use Sentry to lock down that lane, then we'd like to armor up, place Sentry on that armor lane. Therefore, you're probably playing armor, not on that far right lane. Additionally, armor is there as a defensive tool. So lots of destroy decks, lots of locations that your opponent could take advantage of, or things like the danger room just there if you want to kind of guarantee your play. But armor is there for a defensive tool as well. Now, we've got Jeff in here in case our Professor X whiffs, but we're still in range. Jeff can hit it. Additionally, Jeff can reach those lanes that we otherwise wouldn't be able to reach. So Jeff is huge. Next up is our trio of 4-drops. 2 of them are answers, and 1 of them helps us lock down, a lane on turn 5. Well, actually, 2 of them. Quick little break here. As you can see here, we're blocking off the altar. We're using armor in a defensive situation right here. We just don't want them having access to extra energy, so we're making sure that they can't do that. But back to our 4-drops, right? So, Shang-Chi, as you saw in the previous game, is there to take out huge power from your opponent. Basically all he does, it makes your opponent think, and you can still go after that lane. Spider-Man and Sentry. Spider-Man can be used, as you can see here, I'm trying to Spider-Man the rickety bridge because I would love to go ahead and toss Professor X down there on 5. Because he played Bucky, we can't do that, so we have to switch gears with what we're going to do here. But Spider-Man can help you lock a lane early so that your Professor X can again come down clean. Sentry does the same thing, but Sentry also helps you out in that he puts a -10 power on the board on your side, and honestly, that's great. The reason that's great is because your opponent thinks that you've probably lost that lane, or they think something is going to happen there. But most of the time, they leave that lane because they think they've got it. So you can either play your Professor X on your Sentry lane, which is, the idea here to help you lock down a lane and have enough power. And then the -10 Void is actually huge. And then we've got our 2 5-drops. Professor X, as you can see here, is being used to lock down a lane before turn 6. And then turn 6, which, as you can see here, another great example, we are playing 4 cards in combination with Valkyrie. They played a Destroyer, which is actually a pretty good play, 16 power, but Yellow Jacket, Wasp, Ant-Man, followed up by Valkyrie, and you get a nice, easy dub. It's great. This deck has a huge element of surprise. You can win other than just hitting the Valkyrie, but that, of course, is your main win condition. Now I'll walk you through these last couple games here, and we'll just kind of talk about the decision-making, the choices, and all that right here. So, first up, we see the Superflow come up, and that's great. It gives us extra energy. It means we could hit our Professor X early. We also see that they're playing a Kitty Pryde deck, so ideally, we're going to have to hit that Kitty Pryde, maybe this Angela on turn 6 with our Valkyrie if we want to win that lane. We decided not to play Armor on turn 1 because it was far too early. We see Grand Central, hot location right now, but then we also see the Space Throne. This is where Jeff can come in huge as well as a denial tool against your opponent. So we go ahead and we toss our Jeff into the Space Throne, making sure that our opponent can't do anything silly there, and allowing us to potentially go there the next turn if we wanted to. In this case, their Scarlet Witch brought up Gamma Lab, which looks like a great play for them, but we have an answer. We have Shang-Chi. Now here I'm thinking maybe I should just Professor X, the Space Throne, something like that, but instead, Shang-Chi's the answer. If you can take 36 power off the board, you do that. You don't even think about it, and that's what we did. Shang-Chi came down, took out all the Hulks, and we played the Hood. And we played the Hood so that we could have that Demon, and actually so that we could go in on this turn. So, we've got Jeff, we've got the Demon, we've got Professor X, we have 6 energy, we're playing it all. We're trying to win the Superflow right now. We can move Jeff early if we want to, we can wait until later, but we decide to keep him in the Space Throne for now, knowing that we can always throw him over there if we need to. Turn 6 comes around, and we're kind of in a little bit of a tough spot because most of the time you're going to be behind with this deck, and in this instance we're ahead. But we've still got to win this game, and the best way to do that is putting as much power into the Gamma Lab as possible. And we do that by playing our Ant-Man right into our Valkyrie, flipping our Hood, that turns up to a 3 power, our Ant-Man, 3 as well, which goes to 6. We are able to put 15 power down on turn 6. Well, we had Shang and Hood down, but we're able to flip that from 1 power to 15 and get a nice big victory there. So, super cool game. Normally, you're not playing from the front on turn 6, which is why that one was a little bit different, but in the end, we still got the job done. We got that win. Now, next game here, turn 1. Turn 1, you're almost always passing, unless you have the Hood. The Hood can be a solid turn 1 play. Now, turn 2 comes around, they play the Invisible Woman, and I'm thinking, okay, they've got something potentially sneaky going on. I'm trying to decide if I want to lock down a different lane, or if I want to try and take that Invisible Woman lane from them. We know Grand Central is going to pull something again. We see Morbius. Now, Morbius, Darkhawk, Devil Dino, those are going to be problems for this deck because they're ongoing effects. So our Valkyrie does not work super well against them, and that's why we decide we've got to go after the Fist Tower. We've got to take that from them. I see that they played 1 card there, a little bit scary, but we can get our Professor X down. We can throw our Jeff over there. We get up to 10. Likely, they're not going to have as much power as we do there. Now, their Hela comes through. The only thing that they've discarded so far was that Lady Sif. So, pulls Lady Sif, which discards something else. But now we've got another, another problem here. Another option, right? we've got to win Grand Central. We already talked about why we can't win Morbius. We can go with either Ant-Man or Demon. It doesn't matter. They end up at 6 power both. So ultimately, we decide Valkyrie, and if you play in with Demon, you play Demon second. If you're playing with Ant-Man, you play Ant-Man first in regards to, you know, Valkyrie, Demon, Valkyrie, Ant-Man. They play an Infinite, 20 power, reduced to 3. They go all the way down to 12. We're up at 15, and we are getting a huge, huge dub. So satisfying flipping those 20 power cards, turning them into 3, and getting these victories. All right, so just a couple final words about this deck. Now, huge surprise factor. You definitely need to lock a lane down on 5. Now, whether that's Professor X like we did in most of the games there, or you can use Spider-Man. He's kind of a soft lock because, you know, cards like Doctor Doom and White Tiger can still get there. So not quite as strong as the Professor X route, but either way, you need to have 1 lane secured by 5, and then on 6, you're dropping Valkyrie, Wasp, Yellow Jacket, and a 1-drop. Or if you've already got some cards out there, then obviously you need less to get that, you know, to get your full effect there. Overall, super, super fun deck. If you've got the cards to give it a shot, do it. You can definitely tinker with this a little bit. Originally, I wasn't running Sentry, but I liked the, you know, the -10 Void. I was running Atuma because Atuma has great synergy with Armor and Professor X. I like having Jeff in here. I wouldn't take him out, but he was a new addition. This is kind of an updated version of an old deck that I was playing. Other than that, you know, pretty much I think you probably want to keep these same cards in there. They seem to be working really well. Maybe Shang-Chi you take out, but as you saw in the games that, you know, we watched, Shang-Chi can get you a lot of value. So great deck, super fun, huge surprise factor. Will definitely get you wins and a lot of 8-cube wins because your opponent's not expecting it. They'll snap thinking they've got it, and you can snap right back and take a huge dub. So if you've hung around till now, thank you. I really appreciate you doing so. Like the video, you know, if you found something informative, educational, you know, fun, because this is a fun deck. This is a fun channel. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button for me. But until next time, have some fun.